Good day guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If this is your first time, please do not forget to like and subscribe. So in this video, we are going to be pushing our code to GitHub, and we are also going to be using the GitHub Actions at the same time as well. So we are going to try to make this as short as possible. So let's get right into it. So the first thing we want to do is we need to create a git ignore file. What do we need a git ignore file for? We need it to exclude the files and folders, the files and folders that are not required in our project, in our pipeline. So with that being said, let's create a git ignore file. For Windows users, you can just come into the root of the project, click on file and type .git ignore. While for Mac users, you could actually come here. Let me create a new node. You could come into your terminal and just type touch.git ignore, and it will automatically create. Since you're in the root of your project, it will create it for you. So with that being said, we've been able to create this. So in our git ignore, we begin to add all the files that we don't need and folders as well. So the first one we are going to add is the node modules, because we do not need it there. And the next one that we are going to add is actually inside Cypress itself. So, and I would explain why we need it there. So I'm going to go into our project settings in Cypress, and I'll just copy those fields that we need. So I will say the screenshots folder. Now, why we need to put the screenshots folder and also the videos folder as well, why we need to put it into the git ignore is because when we run our codes headlessly, right? When we run it headlessly, these artifacts are generated for us, so we can have so if our test passes and we've already configured our test to upload videos on passes, a video recording will be made, and if it fails, a screenshot will be taken to help us to debug while we run it headlessly. But we do not need to create this, as these artifacts can be created and can be specified, and how to download it in your pipeline can also be specified based on how you want it to be done. All right, or you could actually, if you've subscribed for the Cypress dashboard, you could actually just have everything on the dashboard and you no need to worry about that. So moving on, the other thing that we want to add here is probably the VS Code subfolder, which is actually a very powerful tool if you know how to use it, but for now you do not need it because everything is there. And in case you are using an intelligent a JetBrains product, this is not an advert for a JetBrains. If you're using a JetBrains product, you need to put this here too when you don't really use it, so it doesn't just become redundant. So one other thing that you probably want to put is the the DS store, and also this. So once you have this done, the next thing is you create an empty repository. I'm already on my what's it called, so I'll create an empty repository here, and I'll call it a TypeScript CY class. Yeah, so I'll leave it as public so everybody can have access to it. Then I'm going to create this. Now that this is created, I need to connect this remote to my local. And in order to do that, the first thing I will do is just create an empty repository by typing this simple command git init. So it has created an empty repository inside my code right now. So what I just need to do is now connect this remote to it by copying this command. And pasting here. But before I go ahead and paste, remember that I said that we want to run this in our on GitHub like a pipeline. So we want to use the GitHub Actions. So the first thing we are going to do is create a folder and name it GitHub, right? So inside this folder, we'll create another folder. Make sure you're clicking on it, then create another folder called workflows. Now you create a YAML file inside workflows. You can name it anything you want. So this one, I think I'll just name it TY Cypress pipeline. So you can either put the extension as a YAML, YAML, or a YML. It's the same YAML extension, so it can be expressed in either way. I'll leave it as this. So the next thing is we begin to create the artifacts that we need. So the first thing I'll do is just call this probably a Cypress TypeScript test. And I begin to create a trigger that I want, and what I just want to do is push, which means that for every time I add something, it would automatically get that thing for me. I mean, to automatically run the pipeline for me. So the next thing I want to do is build, but I like the way it's just automatically bringing suggestions. Okay, so it's going to run on the latest Ubuntu image and begin to create the steps. And the first step I would want to create now is I want to create the first step I want to create is I want to give the step a name first. So I would put this there. Name, and in this one I'm checking out. That's what I'm doing basically. So I'm not going to use version 1, I'm going to use the latest version that I know, which is 3, right? So let me space this out. And next thing I want to do is the Cypress test itself. So I will name the Cypress test 2. So I'll just say Cypress. Run Cypress test. So let's just call it run Cypress test. It is important to note that Cypress has already made life easy for you. How do I mean? Okay, so this is not the latest version. I think this is the latest version. Yeah. So with this particular hub here, when your folder is structured the way Cypress recommends, your test can easily just run, because this image here already has is already embedded with the Cypress image needed, browsers and all other commands, so it just executes on its own. Now if you want to attach some things to your code, you can use with. So this with, just watch out for it because we are still going to continue to use it, but for now let me just put something dummy into it. Let's just say node version, because when we get to a place where maybe you want your pipeline to trigger other commands for you, let's say after running the code right now, you want your commands, you want your GitHub Action script to also instruct your pipeline to save the artifacts from it, like save the video somewhere else, push the video in some places and all that. You can just use the with command to just connect it, right? So with this, I think we're good. So the next thing is I'll paste what I copied before. So now we've connected my remote to my local. So I'm going to add everything here with this simple command. If it's just a single file I need to add, I can just put the address of the single file, the path to the single file, and just put it. But because there are a lot of things to add, so I'll just automatically do this git add, then hit enter. And the next thing I will do after that is I will commit. So I will say probably the first commit, so I'll call it initial commit, and hit enter. As you can see, node modules didn't follow, and if those files I also included in the git ignore are actually visible to the eye, it won't follow as well. So like I would want to change this name from master to main. This conversion started like around the time Black Lives Matter movement started, and the trend has been followed. So I advise that you also follow this trend. It shows that okay, you're conversant with what is going on. It isn't a must, but it shows that you're conversant and you're compliant with things. You're not a rebel. Not that I'm saying that being a rebel is so bad, but just conform and follow the best practice. So I'm going to hit enter on this, and the next thing I'm doing is just push all that we've done. Push, say origin to the branch, which is the main branch. Then I hit enter and all is done. So if I come back here and I refresh, all our codes are here. As you can see, node modules isn't there again. Then if I go to actions, because I've already created a workflow, it picks it immediately. And what is the issue? It says invalid workflow file. TYCY, you have an error in your YAML on line 7. So what is the error that we have on line 7? Okay, so we need to actually do this. This is what we need to do. Apart from that, we also, apart from that, what else do we need to do? I think everything is fine. We did not indent it properly. So now that it is only one file that we've edited, just like I mentioned earlier on, we can copy the relative path and add that alone. So we can say git add this one alone, and it has added it. So we can say git commit, so edited pipeline config, and see what that brings. Then we push it again. So now that we've pushed it, let's refresh and go back to, okay, so something is running now, and let's see. The build is running and it's setting up everything. So let's wait for it. Yeah, it is running right now and it has finished running. So let us look at Cypress test and see what happens inside it. So it installed all the packages automatically, you see, because all these are like the commands that comes with using this particular action. So it picks up the Cypress package log JSON and does a clean install. Then it does every other thing, and all the 4 tests that we ran, that we created, has been executed under 14 seconds, right? And as you can see, a video output, like I said, because it ran endlessly. Now we can add additional commands in our workflow to save the artifact somewhere if we so choose, or we can also add additional files. So with this, we've been able to set up a GitHub GitHub Actions so we can run our tests on GitHub. So if you've gotten this far and you found the video helpful, please do not forget to like and subscribe. And probably I would do one more video which would teach us how to set up our code with Browser Stack. Bye bye.